for Instagram to hit. Oh, this is so weird. Okay. All right, cool. Okay, I think we're live. So welcome to another, you know what, Run Wild with us and ask us anything. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder of Running Wild, which now is Running Wild, RIZE, Trompe L'Oiel, and Junkyard Rooster. And I'm here with some of our fantastic folks, the amazing Cecilia Kennedy. I don't think we're going to have Peter Wright because I think he's running late today. But and we'll see if Ben shows up. If not, then he can just, so anyway. So actually, just before we started, Cecilia and I were talking about, and I'm going to do this, and I know I shouldn't complain, but I don't care. So we had actually submitted for the Association of Writers and Writing Programs, which is a huge literary conference where like every literary magazine, journal, publisher, university, like well-known university, are all represented. It's every year. And it's one of those that like, if what you're really into is like hardcore literary, like that's the conference that you want to go to, no matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're an editor, a publisher, a writer, an established writer, you name it. And our folks were really, really hardcore into like, oh my God, we want to have panels on it, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, like, cool. Oh, yay, we have Peter. Yay!
Hello. How is everybody?
Hey. We are just starting a debrief on, I don't know if you checked your email yet. Did you see the note from AWP? No? Okay. So no. I was just explaining to folks like what Association of Writers and Writing Programs is. That it's like the big writers conference, literary conference, I'd say, in North America. And we had submitted, it's huge, right? Like if your thing is literary, that is where you go, right? And we had submitted 8, what I would consider to be rather killer workshop proposals. And both Cecilia and I, so I'm assuming you got this as well, we got an email saying you're not allowed to submit 8 proposals. You're only allowed to submit 3. And it's not that you only, now just to be clear, the instructions they provide, it's not that you're not allowed to submit that many, you're not allowed to be on more than 3.
Right.
Meaning that they actually, accept, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're being told we're not allowed to be, we have to by June, I think it was 5th or something, which means tomorrow.
Yeah.
By tomorrow, you have to reply and let them know what 5 of the 8 are you going to drop. Yeah. I'm like, decline. No, that's not the right word. And there were 3 of them that I was like, there's no way we can't be on them because it's too unique to us, Mm-hmm. So I was giving Cecilia the list, but both of us had the same reaction. Like, why don't they just tell us what ones? Why don't they wait until they decide what ones they actually want? Yeah. Right. Because based on my past experience, anything that's too genre specific, they're going to decline it anyway. Mm-hmm. And we had a couple that weren't about specific genres. It was about the importance of having a variety of genres in the world, basically, right? So, but no, we have to inform them now what 5. I guess that's before they actually start reviewing them for potential workshops.
Or maybe they're so blown away by the 8, they can't make up their minds either.
I mean, that is very lovely of you to say that. I highly doubt it, but but yeah, that was the ones and for anyone who's watching, you're like, now I want to know what they actually submitted. Now I have to like look it up.
They were good. They were good.
Yeah, we were rocking it, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see. It was Ophelia, do you still have it open?
Let me see. What do I have? Oh, I have the email. Okay, so getting to book 4, why one book isn't enough. That was one of them. Debut novel boot camp. You know what? We ought to have, anybody who's watching should vote. Which one should we drop out of?
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so that one I didn't drop. That one I kept.
Okay, debut novel boot camp. Hard truths first-time authors need to hear. The case for going indie. Run wild with us. Ask us anything. Radical transparency in publishing. The ghetto of edgy. The case for writing genre fiction. And the storyteller's happy hour. Building community through live storytelling. So lots of really good ones. So I was a participant on 7 proposals. And I must step down from 4. So yeah, that would leave me with 3. Yeah. Yeah, I'm only allowed to be on 3.
Yeah, we're all yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, I remember seeing on the submission form that it said you're only allowed to be on 3, and I thought, okay, great, because you're not going to accept all of them. So
right. Yeah,
you know, it's not a problem. So it's just bizarre that they're doing this now. So yeah.
So I think what we're going to stay with, though, the 3 that we're probably going to keep, at least based on your submission, was the storytellers, Run Wild, Ask Us Anything, and the debut novel boot camp. So I'll just go ahead and give those answers as well. We'll all send the same answers.
Yeah, why not? Sure, you know. I mean, Peter, you don't have to. It's just, that just happens to be what we're doing, because it was just like, oh my God. So yeah. But yeah, today was one of those days that I was like one message, one email after one phone call after another of like, what the hell? I'm like, for real? Oh my God, people, can we like not do this? Can we, can this not be so like melodramatic of a day? Like, it doesn't have to be. But yeah, oh well. Again, although I do like your idea that some, that they were just like, oh my God, these are so fabulous. We must have them.
I stand by my suggestion.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be wild if we got a single one. I mean, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
agreed.
It'd be really nice. Yeah.
I would be shocked if we did.
If not, can we still present someone somewhere at the conference, like in a bar or something, or I don't know, the lobby of the hotel, just kind of informally, anybody who wants to join, we have a panel going.
It's in Chicago next year, right?
I know, yeah.
Oh man, that's my town. That's my town. I could bring us to some cool places. Guaranteed.
All right. Game on. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, well, like back in the day, that's how it worked. Like they had all the formal, and then if you were going to have an offsite, like if you were going to have like a reading or, whatever, you just let them know and they would actually list it on the program.
Ooh.
And they would say, like, this is not necessarily endorsed, but it's in, blah, blah, blah. But believe it or not, people showed up. Like, I was like, oh, wow. Okay, cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They just put a little disclaimer, these don't reflect the views of AWP.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was it. That was exactly it. So yeah. And it looks
Tavern on the north side. We can go to Southport Lanes. I mean, there's just so many things we can do.
Oh, a bowling lane?
Cool.
Yeah, in a bar.
Bowling alley. Oh my gosh, we could give.
It's a bar with a bowling alley in the back.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine? That would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Roll a strike.
Oh my god, that would be fun. I haven't gone bowling in forever.
Yeah.
I got some cool places.
Oh my god. Oh, and I now on a positive note, I was able to arrange. We have 2 interns with the University of Chicago, and I was able to arrange for them to be at our presentation in June at IPG.
Very nice.
Awesome.
So they got approved to be at the sales conference as well as the meet and greet that happens, I think, like the Sunday or Monday before.
Wow. Good for them.
Excellent.
Right? Yeah.
You're good. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just thought, well, you can't hurt to ask, you know? Yeah. And she said that they were just going to list them as like part of our presentation team. So I was like, okay. Exactly. Cool. So yeah. Because I made sure they knew that these guys are local, right? So that's the additional sell, you know?
Right. No travel.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be awesome. That'll definitely be awesome. And then today I also confirmed we're going to try a new printer. I just placed the print order. It's a combination of books that we have on back order as well as those that are coming up. So I want to see how it goes with them, just because we've had so many issues with our current printer and like just so many weird disconnects that truly make no sense. So
I got a question about that. I mean, one of the things I'm running into with one of my authors is the expediency of ARCs. How it takes so long to get them into the author's hands, because the sooner the author can get the ARCs, the sooner they can disseminate them, spread them out, and set up interviews and readings and whatnot. I mean, we're pushing the line because it's June 4th right now, and this book's supposed to be published in September, and we don't have a definitive date on when the ARCs are coming out. So that's a key date time for me.
So typically what we'll find out when they're actually available for print run from our current printer,
right?
Usually around now. So the author would just have to come to us and say that they want X number of copies,
which is what he's been doing. And I've been working with our production editor, and just and she's fantastic. It's not her. It's just that I need these copies in the author's hands so that he can set up what he wants to set up. So because he's got less than 3 months to set up before the publication. So,
can you just tell me which book it is? Do you know?
Yeah, Stepsisters in the Spirit.
Yeah. They just now made it available. How many does he need?
Start with 20. I mean, is that too much?
No.
So I emailed Double E today asking for a phone call, and I haven't heard back from her because I know she's busy.
I'm placing the order. Actually, you know what? I'll start the order, and then at the end of this, do me a favor, and because I'm gonna have to use our current printer
right, of course.
Right now. But yeah, give me his address. So I'll place the order, and then and let them know that this is like it needs to be expedited.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had a similar issue with Lost Songs of Nina Simone. I placed the order for her book award in late April, and they still haven't gotten it. And they're like, well, you never placed the order. So I forwarded to them proof of that I placed the order and I explicitly stated what it was for. So I don't understand. Yeah, we just keep having these weird disconnects that I just can't. We can't keep. I just can't keep doing this. You know. I mean,
Right.
obviously, you know. So, and I got confirmation from our account lead that we don't have to use this printer. So, yep. And I probably shouldn't be sharing all this on live stream, but oh well. It's been one of those days that I kind of don't care. You know, like it's just like, seriously, people, this has been going on forever. Like we don't, yeah. But now, and although, so our Kickstarter did not go through, but on the positive side, I actually have calls with 2 different financial people to talk about getting backing.
Cool.
One to expand on our licensing activities, so we can actually bring on board somebody who's just focused on positioning our stories for licensing deals, and then the other is to get more like basically like rolling credit, basically for big things like this, where like I have to order around $40,000 worth of books, so over 10,000 copies, to meet our not just our back order but our upcoming titles. So it's to take care of that, and so much of it, again, it's like stuff that we've placed the orders, and we paid for it, but for some reason our current printers just like, I don't know, acting like I don't exist. I don't know. It's just strange. So, I mean, well, they acknowledge my existence, but they don't acknowledge the fact that we've already placed the order and we've already paid for it. So,
Right.
yeah. So now I just, right. So I'm like, well, if you're not going to do it, then I'm just going to go someplace else. So,
Right.
And it's not like, this isn't the first time I've said this, by the way. I've forewarned them a few times, like, I'm going to have to, you know, because I know for a fact that we have authors who are like like Curtis that you just mentioned. They're setting up, you know, these great events, and you know, and all these different we're getting attention from like magazines and journals, and you know, 2 more books were named must reads, one by Chicago Magazine, 2 by I think it's called the Hasidic magazine, because both of the authors are of Jewish faith. And you know, this stuff may sound small, but like
Not at all.
they're not at all. And so we have to have the books to back it, and I can't have the books to back it unless they actually fulfill our agreements, and they're just not doing it. So that's my one complaint for today. I was telling Cecilia, like, this is just, like I said, it's just been one of those days where it's like, if it can not even go wrong, but like go squirrely, right? Where you're just like, I have no idea what's going on. Why is this happening? So yeah, but you know, you work it. So, and actually, Cecilia, you were saying you're having a very similar kind of day. So
yeah, just like, you know, it started with the emails. So if you need to drop one of these, I'm like, well, I like them all. I don't know who to drop. And then like Alex has been frantically texting me about his senior project. You know, he's panicking because it's like one of those things, you know, there's a presentation and there's a paper, and he's had to redo all these things, and he's getting conflicting advice. You know how it goes, you know, you get conflicting advice from your professors and from students, and you don't know what to do. And he's like, I just want to graduate. And he goes, Mom, will you read he said, Mom, will you read my paper? Because I know you'll actually read it. And I'm like, I won't understand a damn thing because it's physics, but I will read it and I will tell you what I think. And, you know, you'll get some feedback. You know, I can't tell you if your math's right or if your graphs need to be redone, but I can tell you if a sentence, I can also I can still look at it and be like, okay, it feels like there's something missing here. Like you might need some sentences to explain this. Those are just the kinds of things that I get, pieces of advice that I can give in that situation. But also just the encouragement of this is how it is. It happens. You just keep going.
Oh my God.
You may not understand it, but the flow will be there. The punctuation will be perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've already looked at this paper. So my dad was he's a retired chemist.
Okay.
I think he still works on things, but my dad would give the beginning of the presentation. And one thing that he was really good at was he would start with something that I could understand and that caught my attention. And so I just had Alex, I'm like, you know what, your grandfather's really good at an opening line. And I'm looking through here and I'm like, this is your opening line. Let's just move it there.
There you go.
That's, because at the end of the day, when it comes to science projects, and the whole science field, it's who can you sell your ideas to and who will back them financially. So you do kind of have to have the language in there that's understandable as well as the technical. So
right.
I can at least look at that.
Honestly, I think that's any field. It will always come down to who can you sell your idea to and what will get them engaged, right? Yeah. Whether we like that to admit that as the truth or not, it is. So
yeah, but I was getting like a string of disheartened messages from Alex. I'm still at school. I'm trying to get some help on this paper. It's probably complete crap. Please help me. I'm like, it's probably fine, Alex. It's probably fine. It's just, these are the hoops that you have to jump through. His graduation is next. It's not this Sunday, but it's the Sunday after, and he's got stuff all the way up through. So, oh gosh, it's tense.
Soon though. Soon.
Yeah, soon.
Absolutely.
High school or college?
It's college. So this is undergrad, and they're treating it like a graduate. Like this is basically a dissertation defense to some extent, or a master's thesis defense. And they're doing this at the undergraduate level. And I'm like, oh, do you have to? Do you have to? There's time for that, There's time for a master's thesis or something. Although it's also like, do you want one? I mean, this teaches you, do you even want one after this?
That's true. Totally. Yeah. So Peter, how about you? What's been going on? What's been shaking?
I'm reviewing my comments and suggestions for after the autumn people. I want to get that back to the author as soon as possible because I've been taking way too long on editing that. Just because life got busy all of a sudden, and it's a fantastic novel, so I'm almost done with that. So,
cool.
And I'm working on my book. I just having trouble, to be absolutely honest. I'm having trouble identifying with the main characters. That's my biggest issue. The books that I've written before, I can identify with the good guy and the bad guy. I can identify with it and slip into their skin and talk and walk and act like them. And this is a completely different characters from that perspective. So it's been rough, but I finally realized that. So now I can take a different tack on it and approach it from a different angle and just say, okay, well, this isn't me, but if this version of me might be able to do this, then that's how to approach it and see what happens with that angle.
Oh, interesting.
So writing within myself, but to a degree that is not me, but something I can tentatively touch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's funny, like I got the feedback from 2 of my beta readers, and one was just basically like he loved it and he can see himself buying it like when it hits the market. And all of his feedback was more on because it's more like creative, not in fiction. I mean, obviously, because it's werewolves, duh.
Right.
But
creative nonfiction.
or creative. I'm sorry, creative historical fiction. That's I guess the terminology for it. Yes. And although I don't know, maybe there are werewolves. You know, I could. Who knows? But like the reason I asked him to be one of the beta readers was because he's originally from Puerto Rico and it's set in Puerto Rico. And so he was able to go through some of the aspects of the culture and the some of the historical facts and provide feedback on like, well, this isn't wrong, but it's not right. So I know this is creative fiction. So, but this is, you know, this is how it went down, you know, just like keep that in mind kind of thing. So I need to go back and go through and integrate it. And then my other beta reader, he was my beta reader. Actually, he's been with me since day one. And I'm torn because so it's funny. The bad guy, he hates the bad guy, which I'm like, well, that's like that's the point. And he loves the good guy and he wants, but he it's clear from his feedback, he would rather, instead of this be a dual point of view, right? That it's only the good guy's point of view. And much of the bad guy's point of view, which you only discover later. So spoiler alert, folks. Because you don't know the bad guy's the bad guy until I want to say 2/3, 3/4 into it. Although I leave hints, you know,
of course,
like as you should, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of it is it's him sharing information, like historic information. So it's a combination of like more of someone telling you something, right? So it's not necessarily within the scene, since he's sharing the information retrospectively. Yeah.
That works.
So, but he doesn't like that way of doing it. So, like, I get why, because when it's in scene, you feel more like you're in the moment, like you're part of that activity, you know. So I just need to go back and look at it again. So,
are both characters in first person?
No.
They're both in third?
One is in first and the other one is in third close.
Okay. Can you tell us which ones?
Honestly, I haven't read this in so long. I'm doing that by memory. So
because I'm thinking third close is enough of a arm's length away, even half an arm's length away, that you can separate yourself from the character and not be as involved. You know,
right.
Whereas in first person close, you're right there in their skin. You know. But if it's in first person and the battling, I mean, the reader may just, I mean, it's two conflicting points of view is what I'm thinking.
They're two very different points of view. So, and it may just be that he more thoroughly enjoys the first person narrative, right? Because you're so deeply in the skin of the character. So
exactly.
So yeah, and it was funny because he was even like, you know, you could just completely ignore all of my feedback, and I thought, you know, I'm not going to do that.
That's why you showed it to them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I shared all that because I really need to get off my tushy because I wanted to have been much farther along in doing this than I am. Because I have a combination of life, drama, and you know, still healing from the car accident where you just randomly don't feel well, you know. So yeah, but yeah, I need to get off my tushy and knock that out. Yeah.
Well, I am 42,000 words into a memoir.
Oh my.
So 42,000 words, it's humor, essays of every job I've ever worked, whether I've been paid or not, like from childhood, you know, around the house and whatnot, but all the jobs. I think it's It's going to be interesting because the jobs have really strange names. Some of them have normal names because they were normal jobs, but some of them have strange names, and there might be recipes and crafts. I don't know. So there may be some other things in there, but it's been a lot of fun to write from a humor perspective because, you know, good things happen in your life as well as, you know, things that, you know, are maybe not as, you know, not as good, just uncomfortable things that happen. And still trying to take a humor point of view. It's working, but it also makes you revisit all of those things where you're choosing to laugh instead of cry. So yeah, but it's kind of fun. It's been a really good exercise to do, and I've had a blast doing it. And if I can make myself laugh at least once during the day while doing it, then I think that it's at least rewarding for me to do on my own. But eventually I do want to get the draft out into hands of people to look at and to review. So 42,000 words, my goal is 50,000. So I'm getting close.
Okay.
And it's exciting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's huge.
Yeah.
We actually have a question.
Yes, from Suzanne.
Yeah, from Suzanne. So she asks, how do you decide whether a character should be first or third person?
That's a good question. I just go by intuition. I mean, like however I feel at the moment. I mostly write in first person, first person point of view for fictional characters. Although sometimes I force myself to do third person and it still works. So I don't know. Sometimes I get, or I'll start off in first person and then I'll be like, no, that just feels too uncomfortable, and then switch it to third. It depends on what you want to do, honestly.
I tend to avoid first person unless the story demands it. And the reason for that is because you miss so much of the storytelling elements of the tale by being in first person. Because if I'm in first person, so my character is seeing, okay, so I'm looking at the screen right now with the camera right there. He has no idea what's going on outside. As a third person narrator, I can see what's going on outside and tell the reader what's happening and build the suspense and the tension that way. So there's so much the first person character misses. Now, when I want to get really into somebody's head and really into their psyche and direct the reader into exactly what I want them to see, that's when I enjoy first person, because there's nothing else going on except what's going on within their head, between their two ears and beyond their two eyes. So, and when I'm go to third person, there's third person close and third person distant, or whatever it is. And being able to differentiate between the two based on how you want your story to move along gives you the ability to work within those characters and with those scenes to paint the picture, to give the emotions, to give the scenic reality space to breathe that the characters aren't necessarily paying attention to. Because sometimes when a character says, oh, I'm paying attention to that picture. No, you're not. There's a picture hanging on the wall. You're paying attention to it at all. But as a third person, omnipotent narrator, I can see the picture there and tell the reader how that relates to the story as it's going on right now. If that makes sense. To make images part of the story, make the scene part of the story that the character doesn't have to actually notice to make them, to include them in the tale. You know, that's why I choose between those different points of view.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is intuition, but it's to Peter's point, it's what the story demands. So like I intentionally chose first person close because of the close aspect. Because I wanted it to be something where one, and I intentionally did do not only the first book, but all the books with dual narration, because by doing it that way, there's a lot going on that you as a reader, there's no way you're going to know it because that character doesn't know it. And then by using third person close, or even just third person period, in the second narrator, that enables the reader to now have visibility to a bevy of other things that are going on related to the story. and that allows you also then to have hints as to, so what is it like, what's the reveal going to be, right? Because the reveal will occur as the primary first person narrator discovers it, right? So it's playing with those points of view, and that which enables you to then actually make the story much more layered and much more complex, as a friend of mine calls it, like the Tetris. So but like there's certain genres that it does. I personally don't think they work well in first person. I think they work much better in third person close. Like the short stories that I wrote that are occult mysteries, which I also have to write another one for an anthology. I just think mysteries work better in third person close, because I don't think you can have either third person close or what is it, third person, not global, but yeah, not wide.
Omniscient.
Omniscient. Yeah, omniscient. Thank you. I'm like, I know this word. Damn it. Because if you do it in first person, it's too limiting. You want to have that. You want to have the layers for a mystery where things are being revealed to the reader that the primary character may not be aware of it, and it's okay because it's third person, either omniscient or third person close, right? But if it was a first person narration, then if when you get to the point of whatever that reveal is for the mystery, the reader's going to feel like, where the hell did this come from? Right? Because that's how that primary character felt when they encountered or found whatever it was. Does that make sense? So, yeah. I'm sorry. Cecilia, were you going to say something?
Oh, just that, basically along the same lines, it depends on how you want the suspense to unfold in a story too. So from like third person, you're watching things happen. And you might have that experience where you're like, no, don't go in that room, or what's, to some extent when you're watching from the third person perspective. But first person, you're totally immersed in the suspense. It's almost like things are being done to this character. You're watching them go through it. So it depends on like the genre and the level of suspense. I've seen really good horror done in both first person and third. It just depends on what the effect is that you want to have.
And the other benefit of first person is that you can really develop unique voices in first person, but to Peter's point, you've got to be really immersed in that character, right? For that to be effective. Like it can't just be, you just not through words on a page, but yeah, it really can be super rich from a first person narrative. The kind of depth that you can't really get into in a third person close or a third person omniscient, but you can use that same information that you developed for that first person narrator, more so for like dialogue within the third person close and the third person omniscient. So,
because I was thinking that the scene from Indiana Jones, the first movie, where he's in the tomb and measuring out the sand with the statue and everything like that. I mean, that's totally first person. I mean, you're seeing what's going on. You're not in his head, but you're first person because you're only seeing what he's seeing. And when the tomb's destroying or falling apart, you're still just seeing what he's seeing. There's nothing else going on. There's no narration. There's no other images. You're just seeing what he sees. And that's why that scene or those scenes are so gripping, is because you're just seeing what he sees. There's nothing else going on. I mean, that was brilliant storytelling on Spielberg's part.
Oh, agreed. Now, it used to be a huge no-no to do first-person narration, especially in the literary world.
Right.
And the reason for that was that there was a perception among a subset of those within the literary world that, at least based on the articles that I had read 20 years ago, right, that there was a perception that people were just basically lifting from their own lives and writing it as if it was a character. In reality, it was something that they personally had done, which it wasn't not true, right? People were doing things like that, but I think it discounted an entire method of craft without really looking at the pros and cons of using it and when it could be effective. So
still, there's a line between fiction and nonfiction, because I've edited fiction novels, and I go to the author, I'm like, this doesn't really make sense, and they go, well, that's how it happened. And I'm like, that's not fiction. That's reality. You're bending reality into fiction, and it doesn't work that way. Reality doesn't bend to the laws of fiction. It just doesn't. Stuff just happens out of the blue that you can't make sense of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, when I hear that, it's like, well, that's not how it happened. I'm like, well, then that's how it can be written.
Well, actually, that's a fabulous point. I also myself and one of our interns, I had her review a novel, and then I went back over it, and there's whole sections that don't make sense, right? And the feedback that I ended up, or not just myself, but we both ended up giving the author was, if this was something that that's just how it is, right? And the novel is set in a different country, right? So part of it was acknowledging with the author, okay, I know this is in a different country, and things work differently in that country. But if you are targeting an audience of Americans and like Canadians are going to be the primary readers, then you need to leave hints before you get to whatever that is that enables them to buy into it, right? Because otherwise they're going to put it down, and that's not your goal, right? You don't want them to say, well, this is a bunch of bullshit, and say forget about it, right? So like an example I gave was it's very common in other countries that brands here that are huge brands like BMW, Mercedes, right, for example, the quality of the vehicles that they manufacture in other countries is so subpar to what they provide in the United States, where I had friends who every summer their parents would go back to the country they had immigrated from, and they could literally just buy a car that here they would never be able to afford, but they would always leave it there. And part of the reason was the quality was so subpar to what's here, and I'm sure a ton of other migration issues associated with it. But I still remember her parents had bought like a brand new Mercedes, and it literally broke down going up a hill. A Mercedes, right? And my point to her was, if I use that in a novel, right, even though it's common knowledge within those other countries that like this huge brand name is so subpar in terms of quality in those other countries, you can't assume the reader knows that. You need to leave some kind of like breadcrumbs so that when that vehicle breaks down, the reader doesn't say, but you just bought this car 5 pages ago. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah,
right.
You need to foreshadow for sure.
Exactly. So, those are the spot on. Like those are totally the kinds of things that you need to continuously look at whatever story you're developing from various perspectives, including, if I was the reader, would I buy into this? And if you acknowledge that, oh, you know what, maybe they wouldn't be into it, then you got to take yourself out of the story that you had written and allow yourself, that will then enable you to create that foreshadowing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
One of the issues that I see when I'm editing is that the author is so deeply immersed in their story, in their mind, in their imagination, that we get 5 pages of just dialogue. And we have no idea where we are, what's going on, where they're sitting, how they're moving around. It's all because they see the scene in their head and they're not bothering to tell it to the reader. They're not sharing the details and the images that are so vital to good storytelling, especially in literary fiction. And I mean, I've read books where I'm 30 pages in and I don't know what country I'm in. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, where I'm at, and there's no indication that, the vehicles are driving on the other side of the road. So it's like, okay, we're in a different country. You didn't tell me that in page 2. I'm on page 35, and you're just telling me that now like it's common knowledge. Well, in your imagination, it is. But from the reader's perspective, I mean, we're helpless. I mean, we're literally clinging to every word, trying to figure out where we are, what's going on, and who's doing what. And that's my biggest suggestions to my authors. Like, think about where the reader's coming from or what they're seeing, and give them places to stand. Give them areas to be. Give the characters places to interact with, because images can be used to propel the story. They can be used to give the echoes within the story. They can be used to give place. I mean, you need to tell readers what's going on and where they're at, so that we know what's happening. So we know where we are within the story.
No, that's a great point. And I know I've told the story before, but to your point of being so immersed in the story that you're telling, I mentor a lot through different writers organizations, and I was mentoring this one lovely woman who, her writing was so passive, right? And so many of us are. Oh, Suzanne says the importance of establishing setting. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And you don't have to necessarily overtly say, I'm in the United States, but you need to give the kind of information that would enable the reader rather, to know that you're in the United States. Right. So,
like, she just walked past where the World Trade Center used to be, and now you know exactly where you are.
Exactly. And it also needs to be relevant to the story as well. Right. It can't just be a throwaway, like, oh, look, Trader Joe's. Like, like, who cares? What does that have to do with anything? Yeah,
exactly. Resonance.
But like this, so the author, she was, her writing was beautiful. Again, it was just passive, right? And so I told her, okay, I need you to take this story and I want you to highlight in yellow the noun, and then I want you to highlight in green the verb, right? And I want you to tell me, and so that, honestly, because most that's what a passive, you verb and then the actual subject of the sentence, right? Afterwards. And then I said anything where you're seeing that the actual subject of the sentence is after the verb, I want you to rewrite those sentences so that it's actually active, right? And then the other recommendation I gave her was highlight whenever you use the conjugation of was or is, rather. And I never heard from her again, because I don't think she ever realized that her writing, I mean, the whole thing was seriously passive, right? Her descriptions were gorgeous, right? She clearly knew language well, but again, at least in the United States, Americans are so passive in our own language usage that oftentimes, if you're not really conscious of it, you won't realize that you're writing the way that you speak, and the way you speak tends to be passive. but it's also a great way to get rid of readers.
Well, the thing with the passive writing is, I mean, it kills the momentum of the story. It releases the tension, and whereas when it's an active moving forward, and you're using short sentences and quick paragraphs and driving the action forward and putting action in there, putting emotions in there, and then you put well, I thought about this, and then you drag everything down. It slows the pace down, and it gives the reader impetus to think about something else because they're not glued to the page. So, I mean, you can use passive writing when you use it as a tool.
Yeah.
Right.
Be aware of how you're using it and where you're putting it in the story. Because when you want to slow a scene down, passive writing is perfect because then you're giving reader time to reflect, catch their breath, and then move on to the next action, move on to the next scene. But use these elements as tools within your writing, within your craft.
And that goes back to the comment previously, like you've got to be doing this with intent, right? And, you know, there are tons of amazing books that teach you how to write more actively and how to analyze the tools that are in your writer's toolbox, you know, and I've said it 100 times and I'll say it again, you know, the best way I learned how to write and how I learned craft was more so from analyzing those books that I adored and questioned, how did he do that? Right. And then I would go back and I would reread it and I would just break it down. You know, I mean, people, you guys would be horrified if you saw my library because so many of the books that I have it's just tons of highlights and, you know, annotations and so on, which is how it helps me break down the story so that I can then figure out like, oh, wow, okay, wow, that was super smart. I need to do that, you know? So
very cool.
Very cool. How do you guys do it? Like how did you guys learn storytelling?
Oh gosh. My background is literary analysis, so I read a lot from many different countries. I didn't even start writing anything until 2016. I started in Spanish. I don't know why, but I felt like my storytelling came through in Spanish. I will never publish any of it because they're horrible stories, but I got a sense of like what the plot was supposed to be like and then eventually after 3 or 4 short stories in Spanish, I wrote in English. I started to write short stories in English. But one of the things that I like to do, I mean, speaking of setting, to get started, I think of a place. Like the weirder, the better for a story. And so, you know, where could a story take place? And then the characters evolve from there. So I'm always thinking of setting first for some reason. That's how I like to proceed.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Are you a native Spanish speaker?
So I taught it for 20 years. My mother taught Spanish at the university level for many years, but she was not a native speaker. She just grew up in Tucson, Arizona, and heard Spanish and majored in it and loved it, and then ended up, you know, pursuing it. And I ended up following in her footsteps. So we never spoke it at home. We did do a study abroad program together. Like she had like faculty pedagogical classes that she was taking in Salamanca, Spain for 2 weeks. And my graduation present from high school was that she got a grant and we went together. We shared a dorm room. She wouldn't speak to me in English the whole time. It was so strange. It was so strange because she had never spoken to me in Spanish. I mean, she had before just to practice a little bit, but this was like, she was serious about it. So, I was kind of mad at her because I was like, we didn't speak Spanish in the home and all of a sudden you're expecting me to like know it. But you learn it really fast when you're immersed in the language. So you kind of have no choice. I mean, it even got to the point where like I used to have my hair like really perfect. It was the 80s and I had to do the hairspray and I brought like all the adapters and everything. And my mother, I heard my mother on the phone with another woman that was in charge of the program at the university where she was. And she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry I'm late. My daughter has to do her hair. And it takes her a long time." She said it in Spanish. When my mom hung up, I was like, "That was so embarrassing. I understood everything you said." And she's like, "But you understood me." And I was like, "Yeah, I did. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time learning Spanish and speaking it, but I haven't used it in years. I still, when I exercise in the morning, listen to music in Spanish, and I still can understand it and I can still speak it, but I don't use it as much anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about you, Peter? How did you
I
learn?
forgot the question. I was so so immersed in her story. That was fantastic.
It was right. Wasn't that fantastic? So the question is, how did you learn, and how do you learn craft?
Oh, I got beat up a lot.
Yeah.
I said I started writing my first novel just to see if I could do it. I was living by myself, and I'm like, I just got tired of television, and I would just after work, after dinner, I would just go to my studio and I would just write. And I kicked out this book, and it was terrible. It's still terrible, but I enjoyed writing. It was fun. I started sending it around, and finally, one very, very kind agent said, "This is interesting, but you have to learn your craft."
Aww.
Craft. So I started going to conferences and embarrassing myself in workshops. And I'm not really, but still, I mean, I understood. There was a part of me that understood literature from a reader's perspective. I could understand plot. I could understand character. I could understand development. I just couldn't do it myself.
Yeah.
And it took many years before I started going to classes. I went to a certificate program at this very nice, very prestigious school, and got the crap beat out of me in my first reading, my first analysis within the class. I mean, literally, I went home after the session where my chapters were analyzed. I sat there on the floor in the dark. It was by myself, and I'm like, "What in the world am I doing?" And I just kept going. So I went to school after another school, got into a master's program, and like Cecilia, I started studying craft. I started reading the different. I had stacks of books on my desk this tall that I would go through for the program, and it was the best time of my life. And I just learned so much. I just absorbed so much through osmosis that my writing started to follow suit, and my understanding of the craft started to follow suit. So it took a lot of time, a lot of study, a lot of dedication to learn what I've learned, but I wouldn't do it any other way. I just kept at it. I've just been refusing to stop. So just dedication and dedication.
Yeah.
And I'm still reading craft books. I find them fascinating. So yeah, and I'll try the exercises, and I'll be like, "Oh wow, I really didn't get that right in my last work there. I should have read this first." So yeah, you're always learning.
Yeah.
Exactly. When you read a book, you're like, "Oh wow, I hadn't thought about doing it that way. That's really cool," and that works.
Yeah, I think I intentionally lean towards certain award-winning, because I only have so much time, right? So it's either authors I know I'm gonna enjoy this and I'm gonna learn something from them, or it's like the latest. I'll buy all of the new National Book Award winners and like all of the Pulitzer Prize winners. And like there's like one or two other awards that I'll just pick them all up because I know A, I'm gonna enjoy it, and B, I'm gonna learn something that either I haven't thought of, or maybe I haven't seen before, or I didn't remember, from past experiences. So yeah.
I tried to read the Pulitzers, and life caught up to me.
They can be really hard because they're so complex,
And they're on the edge. Yeah, they're always cutting new paths.
They are, absolutely, and you have to be prepared for that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the whole point for a Pulitzer. So yeah, absolutely. Wow, I can't believe we're almost done. Like our time is almost over.
Yeah, what happened?
I know. Well, I mean, with that, honestly, Suzanne, thank you so much for the question. We love it when we get questions. So, And guys, don't forget, we will be here again on Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time for another Run Wild with us. And you know what? Ask us whatever you want. We absolutely adore having you guys with us. Oh, and I've gotten feedback that some people are having a hard time getting to our website. I am so sorry. I know there's something funky going on, and I keep working with our website provider to get it fixed. And it's like the second I get it fixed, somehow it gets wonked out again. So we're actually also looking for a new web provider as well. So you may see a completely new website in the coming months. But thank you for letting me know that we're having those issues. So with that, again, thank you, Peter. Thank you, Cecilia. And thank you, everyone who's joined us. We love you. We adore you. And don't forget to join us again next week. So until then, ciao.